Good morning, everybody. It's good to see everybody. This is absolutely amazing.
And y'all, okay, here we go. Well, first of all, how awesome is it that we have Jeanie Buss here with us today? We celebrate our women here at the Dodgers, and Jeanie is a fan. She is a friend of the team, so it is nothing but an honor and a privilege for her to kick off our second annual Women's Conference. We are so grateful to you, Jeanie. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to be here, really, seriously. I can't get over the energy and just to see this many women engaged in sports and entertainment. It's very exciting. Thank you for having me.
Well, I want to share a short bio about Jeanie, and then we're going to get right into it because she has allowed us a little bit of liberty in the Q&A, so we're going to have some fun. But I do want you all to know a little bit about Jeanie. For those of you who are not unaware, Jeanie is LA. She was born and raised in the city. She went to Palisades High School, USC. And as you know, she is the controlling owner and the president of the Los Angeles Lakers. As governor of the Lakers, Jeanie oversees all aspects of the Lakers organization. And in 2020, she became the first female governor to win an NBA championship under her leadership. And that tied a record for the Lakers with their 17th title win. Jeanie also represents the team on the NBA's Governor's Board and is currently a member of the NBA Advisory and Finance Committee, NBA Africa, and serves on the NBA Labor Committee, which successfully agreed to a new collective bargaining agreement with the NBA Players Association this year. She is also an honorary trustee of the University of Southern California and is on the board of LA 2028. And in 2018, she received the prestigious Salvation Army Sally Award for her and the Lakers' efforts to benefit the organization. In 2023, she also won an Emmy for the true story of the LA Lakers, which was a 10-part series. She is currently involved in leading the revival of WOW, which is Women of Wrestling, which we're going to hear more about. And she is also a very strong advocate of mental health and wellness, and was recently a speaker at the Wisdom of Wellness WOW conference at UCLA. She sits on the board of many organizations, and charitable endeavors are endless for Jeanie. She is also a newlywed, recently wedding actor and comedian Jay Moore, and is stepmother to his 12-year-old son, Mackie. So let's get into it. Jeanie, you were the first woman to guide an NBA team to a championship. And you have been surrounded with members of the Lakers who have a legendary work ethic. Your dad, Jerry Buss, Magic Johnson, Pat Riley, Phil Jackson, and of course, Kobe Bryant. What have you learned from them?
I mean, that's such an impressive list. You know, let me just start with my father, Dr. Jerry Buss. He was not born in LA. He moved to LA, and LA adopted him as, you know, he fell in love with the city. And he saw that the Lakers, you know, he saw an opportunity to purchase the Lakers. He'd made a lot of money in real estate in Southern California in the 60s and the 70s. And he decided to go all in and buy the Lakers because he felt that LA deserved to have the best team in the NBA, that the media, there was a bias in the media that covered more of the Eastern teams like the Knicks and the Celtics, and really didn't give LA sports the credit that it deserved. He bought the team, won a championship his first year, drafted a player by the name of Magic Johnson, and really kind of set the tone for what he wanted to do with the team. What he taught me was that you have to bring in great people, give them the resources that they need to do their job, and let them do it. Be there to support them, but also encourage them to take risks, and be true to themselves, really lean into their ability and their talent. Of course, one of the people he mentored was Magic Johnson. And Magic Johnson, when I met Magic, he was 19, I was 17. So basically we grew up together, and we were, taught by my father, Jeanie Buss. And we think of the business the same way, the sports business, the basketball business. And Magic is, I think the thing that I take away from him is that he brings so much joy to everything that he does, but he has the most killer instinct of anybody. He has made himself, he's a fan, as good in business as he was in basketball. In all the accomplishments, he won 5 championships as a player. He was in 9 finals in the 12 years that he played. And people don't realize that he only played 12 years because his, his career was cut short because of his HIV diagnosis in 1991. But what he accomplished in basketball, then he took that determination and made a huge difference in the world of treating HIV, and is a hero amongst us. So I've had the privilege of being inspired by people like Magic and Jeanie Buss.
To follow up on that, you also had 2 very legendary coaches with the Lakers, Pat Riley and Phil Jackson, who are known for how they can motivate their players. How do you pull from that to motivate your front office and basketball operations? There's a lot of women in the audience who work for teams, and I'm sure they would want to know how you continue to motivate those who work for you.
Yeah, it's the reputation of a Pat Riley and a Phil Jackson is, it seems like they're all about win at all costs, but they're actually both very much about the person and seeing the person as a whole. I guess with somebody like Pat Riley, what he was able to do was identify those people who were competitive, and then he would continue to feed them. He would see, what they were, what motivated them, and he would lean into it. Very much a person who would not only bring out the best in you, but then would challenge you to take it up one more notch. And there are players who will curse him, but there are also players that would do anything for him. And that, that's just kind of how Pat was. He would push you to your limits, and you would surprise yourself at what you could accomplish. Now, Phil Jackson, also known for winning, but also very much about treating each person differently. There wasn't just a, this is how we do it, and it's either my way or the highway. He would I always was impressed with him wanting to know what everybody's background was, what, especially your birth order in your family, because your birth order would change how you approached a group dynamic. And he wanted to understand how everybody thought and processed things. And he knew how to bring out the best in a player like Michael Jordan, a player like Kobe Bryant, and somebody like Shaquille O'Neal. He would butt heads with, but I think now Shaq would say that winning 3 championships in a row, that was what he wanted to do, even though he was constantly challenging the coach, and ended up getting traded and getting Phil fired the first time he was fired from the league.
You started with the team pretty young, at 18, 19, while you were still in college, and your dad immediately had you dive in, started to take you to NBA owners meetings. Tell us how these owners treated you then versus how they treat you now.
Well, I recently did an interview that's now kind of gone viral, and I tell this story about being named an alternate governor. In the NBA, when you're an alternate governor, that means you're allowed to attend the Board of Governors meetings. So I was in my early 30s, this was 1995, and I attended my first meeting. And during a break during the meeting, I was standing in line at the buffet to get my lunch, and I was, somebody grabbed my butt, and I was so shocked as I turned around and glared at the person who did it, that so many things went through my mind. And I'm sure there's many people here who've been put in a situation like that. And it wasn't that I was worried that I was going to be physically harmed. Obviously, we were in a room full of people. It was that I felt that I didn't belong. And that was the message that he was giving me, that you are to be, you're a sexual object as opposed to somebody that deserves to be here in the room. And, part of me wanted to just shrink and run out of the room and never go back. And of course, knowing that my father believed in me and that he empowered me, I had to stick through it. And I think those moments in your life when you're put in a situation like that, they're a learning experience. At the moment, it was probably one of the worst things that ever happened to me. But now in retrospect, I'm still going to the Board of Governors meetings, and he's no longer in the league. So, in terms of longevity, I stuck with it, and that made me stronger. So when I looked around the room at this meeting, I was one of 2 females. The other woman worked for the NBA. And I thought, all of these men here are not all of them, but a lot of them are putting me in that same category as what, the one guy did. And I thought, how am I ever going to demand respect in this room. There's so much more experience. It's a different generation. And then I realized that the next person that came in who was new to that meeting was going to feel that same level of intimidation that I did, and that maybe I could reach my hand out and help that person, gain their footing, give them the lay of the land. And that person was Mark Cuban. And, now here was somebody closer in age to who I was, to how old I was, somebody that was a generation that was used to women being part of the workforce. And, ever since that time, that was the year 2000, I believe, that he came in, that now, I'm one of the older governors in the group, and it's a whole different atmosphere. And a lot of that is because of events like this, encouraging women, even though it's intimidating, and that there may be moments where you feel that somebody else is putting you down. Women deserve to be in the room. They deserve to be part of the landscape. And that's why the energy that you guys bring here today feeds me, and I hope that I can be an inspiration for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, something that's really inspiring is that we know you as the controlling owner of the Lakers, but you have other business interests. You are reviving women's wrestling. Tell us about WOW, and do you have any other business interests in your sights?
When I was in high school in the 70s, they passed what's known as Title IX, and that it dictates that women have to have the same opportunities as men in educational areas. So when I was in high school, they told me, you are now on the women's golf team. And I said, I've never played golf in my life. Why am I on the women's golf team? And they said, well, if we don't have a women's team, we can't have a men's team. And that, and we'll teach you how to play golf. And that gave me this opportunity that I had never even thought of for myself. I fell in love with the game of golf, and we won the city championship my senior year. So the point was that Title IX gave me an opportunity that I didn't see. And now, because of Title IX, there are so many collegiate female athletes in this country, and which is exciting for me to see. But there's not a lot of places after the college eligibility runs out for women to go pro, to earn money from that discipline that they've had since they were 10, 11, 12, to excel at their sport, whether it's field hockey or volleyball. And I wanted to put my own personal funds into something that would give women opportunity to perform, to give them a platform to shine. And I thought that just like they taught me to play golf, we can teach women how to wrestle. If you're an athlete, because wrestling is about, professional wrestling is about athletic ability and, showcasing your persona. We bring in the athletes, we find out the things that they're passionate about, and we create a character for them that kind of plays off of those passions so that it's authentic, but it's still professional wrestling, and it's larger than life. And we have, it's basically good versus evil. And but the message that's important to me, to young women, is that our wrestlers in the ring, they will stand up for what they believe in. Now, maybe what they believe in is misguided and incorrect, but that they're willing to fight for it. And I think that young women need to hear that message, to believe in something, to be passionate about something, and be willing to stand up for it.
You're a woman leader in sports. Tell us about another woman in sports who has inspired you.
Back when I was 11 or 12 years old, my father sat me down and turned the TV on, and he said, "I want you to watch this." And what it was Billie Jean King versus Bobby Riggs in what was known as the Battle of the Sexes. And he said, "I want you to watch this because this is going to change the world." And what it meant for me was I'd never seen a woman compete against a man. And it just kind of blew my mind. It made me rethink everything that was possible. And so Billie Jean King became my hero, my spirit leader, and I was able to meet her, a few years later, and she's been a friend and a mentor all these years. And she continues to advocate, be a voice for women, for athletics, and she continues to be my hero.
That's great. Okay, shifting gears a little bit. Newly married, congratulations. And a new mom, congratulations. So I'm sure the audience wants to know, so how do you do it? Now you have work-life balance becomes something that you have to think about, consideration. How do you approach that? How's it going for you?
That's something that I'm going to have to learn from the moms in the audience. I don't really know how you do it. I've had to worry about a team, but it's a whole different ball game when it's it's so personal. And so I really admire the working moms out there, because it does seem almost impossible to really not always have worry in the back of your mind when you're trying to focus on work. You're always thinking about what's happening at home. I am kind of surprised that I'm over 60 years old.
Hard to believe.
But maybe I could be called like the golden bachelorette. But it's like when the word came out that I got married, I cannot tell you how many women around my age reached out to me and said that I gave them hope. And if there could be a message about finding love at this age, that it's never too late to find someone.
Condoleezza Rice is known as gunning for Roger Goodell's job. She would love to be an NFL commissioner. We know Goodell's contract was just renewed. Question: do you foresee an NBA female commissioner in the near future?
I've known one other commissioner in the NBA, and that was David Stern, and he did it for over 30 years. So I don't know, Adam Silver's got some time to go. But I think that in our league, in the NBA, we have seen, women play a part in, as coaches, as front office, ownership. I think that women, if that's what Condoleezza Rice wants to do, she should keep at it. But that's only one job. I think there's so many jobs. Like, we focus on the jobs that we hear about, but there's so many other opportunities in sports that I don't want women to focus on one and feel like if they're not a head coach or a general manager in the NBA, then that's a failure. There's just, everybody's journey is different. Everybody's presented opportunities, I think it wouldn't surprise me if a woman ever was the commissioner of the NBA.
Cool, very cool. So we're going to go into some quick hit questions because we're not going to have a formal Q&A, but these are some questions, at least selfishly, I wanted to know about Jeanie. So I was listening to a podcast recently that you did with your buddy Rob Lowe, and one of the things you shared was that your dad, Dr. Jeanie Buss, knew every burger joint in LA. What is your eccentric, guilty pleasure that you could share with us?
Well, I don't know if any of you got an opportunity to see the HBO show called Winning Time. And I mean, it's one of those that the Lakers weren't a part of it, but they got a lot of things right. They got a lot of things wrong, but they did a lot of right things. But there's a scene where Jeanie Buss is meeting with Magic Johnson, and they take Dr. Buss's Bentley to a corner hamburger stand, and they're sitting in the parking lot eating their hamburgers, and they're talking about their vision for what LA basketball could be. And that is one of the moments that they got spot on, because that would be such a thing that my dad would have done. And really capturing this very special relationship between Magic and Jeanie Buss that up until that time no one had ever seen an interaction between an owner and a player like that. And two very different backgrounds coming together and really finding their soulmate in each other for what they would build. So, my dad kind of tortured me with he knew if we'd go to every USC football game, we'd have to stop at Gooey Louie's or whatever the hamburger place was. And, it was one of the quirks of my dad that I miss. I guess my guilty pleasure was something else that started with my dad, and that is to go to the movies as often as possible, but at least once a week. And I'm talking about going to the movie theater and enjoying a movie together. I worry that we're going to lose that, as more and more entertainment comes into our home. But there's something about that experience of sharing a movie with your friend, your family, and the lights turning off and all the focus goes up on the big screen. And that's our industry, that's Hollywood. And so I guess I would encourage everybody to go to the movies, try to go to the theater. Certainly the success of Barbie and Taylor Swift's concert movie has really helped boost the business at movie theaters, but let's not let that go away.
Do you have any pregame rituals?
I think that rituals has kind of almost a negative connotation, because it's kind of like casting a spell, like doing a ritual. No, I don't throw the tail of a rat in a boiling hot water but I do believe in rituals, in that if you're anxious about something, and that's what sports is like things that are beyond your control. That's what anxiety is. You can't control it. So in order to calm your anxiety, you wear your favorite sweater, you drive a certain way to the arena, those kind of rituals I'm all for. So, for me in particular, I try to wear blue jeans. That was kind of my dad's signature. He talked about wanting to earn enough money that he could have a job where he could wear blue jeans every day. And that's what he did. And so I like to carry on that tradition. So when I'm feeling anxious about a game, I'll wear blue jeans to the game just to be reminded of that.
Speaking of work-life balance, what do you do to check out from Laker Nation? How do you just relax, wind down?
Well, I turn off my phone. Don't look at social media. Which is there's so many great things about social media, but there's so many negative things too. Once in a while, we have to take a mental break from that. And where I escape is with my dog. I have a little Maltese. Her name is Ellie Mae. Like the older people, like Ellie Mae Clampett from the Beverly Hillbillies. And go for a walk, be outside, really just try to get grounded that way.
So we know you have a lot of talents, but we want to know what your hidden talent is, and I'll just give you a prompt. I heard you do stand-up comedy. So tell us about that.
I took a class on how to be funnier, and I'm not that funny. But it's a class called Pretty Funny Women, and it's for women only. And I'm not a great public speaker, and I think that when you can bring some laughter to people, that kind of breaks down the stress. It kind of makes people bond together when they can smile together. And I've always been a believer that humor is a way that we can approach subjects that are difficult. They help us process painful things. And I remember, when Phil was coaching the Lakers and Shaq and Kobe were having some difficulties together in terms of, clashing. And so the team was on the road. Phil called me and said, I really need to think of something to do to kind of break down the barriers between these two guys. And I talked about, why don't you go to a stand-up comedy show? And he said, that's a great idea. Found a place in Sacramento. They went to a show as a team. And, when you laugh together, when you smile together, it really went a long way. And that comedian was Gabriel Iglesias, who has now played, Dodger Stadium, and really got lucky that he was the perfect person to, just try to get everybody to relax and loosen up with laughter.
That's great. When I was preparing these questions, I went to Lon Rosen. For those of you who do not know Lon Rosen, he's our Executive Vice President of all things marketing and then some. And he's also a great friend of Jeanie. And one of the questions he said I should ask is, she talks a lot of smack, right? So ask her what she actually says on the sidelines. So what do you say on the sidelines? And we didn't say smack, by the way, but for this audience, we're going to use smack.
I get carried away like everyone can. And, to me, I don't like negativity but, in sports, you're going to have a winner and you're going to have a loser. So you want to help your team as much as possible. So my kind of smack is trying to throw the other team off, and you say something that kind of doesn't really make sense, so that they take a second, what? why did they say that? Instead of saying, like, you suck, you say something, you know, like, you're a lizard. Like, why am I a lizard? That's just an example, and, you know, but it's, you know, it's, I think that everybody should go to a game, have fun, and, you know, and let the players decide on the field, on the court, the outcome of the game. The fans don't need to fight in the stands.
Last two questions. Share one piece or two pieces of advice for the women in our audience today.
Well, I talked a little bit earlier about opportunity, and I think that when somebody comes to you with an opportunity to do something, and it isn't what you have thought about in your mind as your career path, you know, don't say no right away. I think that you have to kind of acknowledge that this person saw something in you that maybe you didn't see in yourself. And, you know, and you say, well, you know, I really hate that, doing that kind of thing. You know, if you do it, if you commit to it, you're either going to find out that maybe you were wrong and you actually like doing that, or you'll be validated that you were right, that it's something you don't ever want to do. So, you know, follow up on every opportunity, because I think it'll expand what you see for yourself. And, you know, the other words of advice I would give would probably be, you know, to lean in, to realize that you belong where you are, continue to do what you're doing. The fact that you're here today, we all know the 10 freeway was closed down, and that would have deterred a lot of people, but I don't see a lot of empty seats. You guys all came here. You're powerful, you believe in yourselves, and, you know, just look around you. To me, this is incredible, to see this turnout, to be here today. And, you know, just keep following the path that you're on. You're doing something right. You're here, and I appreciate that.
Legendary franchise, you're making a legend of yourself. What do you want to be remembered for? You know, Dr. Buss, when he bought the Lakers in 1979, his goal was to make the Lakers the best team in the NBA. And now after winning in 2020, the Lakers are now have 17 titles, which ties us with the Boston Celtics for the most NBA championships. So what I guess I would like to be remembered as continuing the path that my dad began, hopefully getting to that number 18 before the Celtics do. You know, but it's hard to win in any sport, because if there was a formula, everybody would use it. There is no formula. Everything has to come together the right way. In my position, I like to think that, you know, we give the team all the resources that they need to be the best they can be, and maybe even exceed their own expectations. But it's really the players that win the championship out on the court. And, you know, obviously injuries plays a huge part in that. But you know, I guess I would want to be remembered as continuing the legacy that Dr. Buss began. And, you know, I like to say that my dad had his children, but the Lakers were his baby. And he put me in charge of the baby.
and I will do whatever it takes to protect that.
Awesome. Jeanie Buss, you are amazing. We are rooting for you and the Lakers. On behalf of the entire Dodger organization, I want to thank you for helping to make our second annual Women's Conference a huge success. Thank you so much.
Thank you.